It's time for fantasy football semi-pros. Let's do it.
You ready? You got me running.
Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Football Semi-Pros. I'm Brandon. With me again is Ryan. And just to address it, I do know I sound a little bit nasally.
Sure, you do.
Running through some allergy issues, so I do apologize for that. But we got limited time before the draft, so we wanted to get this done.
Yes.
So, Ryan, how's your weekend been?
Push through it. It's been okay. I picked up Saturday coverage yesterday for phones, and I only got 2 calls, so easy money. Make it ring. And then I went to a wedding, and I taught my mother-in-law the WAP. Every song I requested, it filled the dance floor. All I'm saying. I should be Master DJ Coons. That's what they would call me.
All right. Well, so far, sorry for the dogs. So far,
Clockwork.
we've covered wide receivers,
Running backs.
running backs. So today, we're going to start covering
QBs.
quarterbacks. So, usually, especially Superflex, quarterbacks dominate the rookie drafts.
Typically.
This year, not so much.
I got one guy that's worth even drafting.
I mean, I think these guys are there's some more guys worth drafting, but there's one guy I think that's NFL ready to play.
Right, yeah. One quarterback, NFL ready to start day one.
Which
I wouldn't compare him to Joe Burrow or even Trevor Lawrence or anything like that, but there's only one guy that you can hope gets drafted by the right team and starts right away.
Which, that's the guy we're going to start out talking about. Kenny Pickett out of Pitt.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh, man.
Now,
go ahead.
with Pickett, you've heard a lot about his hand size. How it's small, blah, blah, blah.
He's still an athlete.
He's still an athlete, yes. And with his hand size, yes, he wears gloves. He's had the nickname Kenny Two Gloves. But he's played in the elements. He played at Pittsburgh, which is not an easy place to play.
It's rainy, it's wet, it's cold.
Yes, the ball's going to be a little bit bigger in the NFL, but
he'll be all right.
I'm not too worried about it.
Nah. No. I mean, this kid, it's just watching film on him. There's a couple things that you need to really focus on here. And the fact that one of the places he stands out against the other 6 QBs that we have here, Kenny Pickett throws receivers open. We saw it a lot with Joe Burrow in his rookie year before he got hurt, and even last year in his second, return from the knee injury. Burrow has the ability to throw receivers open, and Kenny Pickett does that better than anybody else that's available in this draft class. And he can go through, maybe it's just the offense they ran at Pitt, but he can go through the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4th read. And if nobody's there, he does have the knowledge to either dump it down to his running back or the athleticism to scramble and pick up yards with his legs. He's a great athlete. I don't. Only one I'm willing to take in the first round of a rookie draft.
I mean, there's others I'm willing to take in the first round, but he's the only one I think has truly got a good chance to start right away.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. This kid, he seems he has a high football IQ.
Yeah. One thing that you can't really teach for a quarterback is pocket presence. Do you know that guy is coming from your backside, right? Because you can't see. I played quarterback. When you're dropping back, obviously I didn't get very far, so I probably didn't have a very good pocket presence. But I was getting hit in the back every play. And he knows when to step up, and he knows when to take off. His awareness of what's going on around him in the pocket without having to see it. Man, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a good quarterback.
My notes on that is he makes good decisions. He's willing to throw away if nothing's there.
Mm-hmm.
He knows when to run. He can move the pocket well.
Right.
And then he has great mobility.
Yes.
And not only that, you see the mobility. Mobile quarterbacks, it's just they don't know when to slide. He knows when to slide.
He actually had a rule made up against him this year.
He had a rule made up in the conference after the conference championship week.
Yeah, they're like, if you start to slide, you have to slide, and if you don't slide, we're just gonna call you down there.
Genius play.
Oh yeah, I mean,
genius play, but the rule had to be made.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah, this Kenny Pickett is, and I've been saying it probably since day one. Week one when Oklahoma played Tulane and Spencer Rattler looked awful. I remember telling you Kenny Pickett's the best quarterback available. He's gonna be the number one QB in this draft class.
I mean, he's an accurate passer, both in the pocket and on the run.
Yeah, he's got a very quick release too.
If he does miss, it is high, so that is a little concerning.
Yeah,
because that's where it tends to lead to picks, but it wasn't a lot.
Man, when I say that quick release, I mean even on the deep throws, he's not winding up to have to throw it down there, so he's got the strength.
And that's one of my notes on here. He doesn't have a Mahomes or Rodgers type arm, but he can make those deep throws.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't need it. Not everybody needs to be Mahomes or Rodgers. Not everybody needs that, but it helps.
Sure. I kind of teased this to you earlier. There was a comp that I saw that you're gonna love
for
Kenny Pickett.
Is it Drew Brees?
It is not Drew Brees. This is one I saw when I was just doing a little more research on him. The Draft Network, they comped him to Andy Dalton.
Oh, no. No. Yeah, that's gross. I'm okay.
I mean, Andy Dalton was a very serviceable quarterback, and that's how it feels like Pickett's going to be. He's not going to be your number one quarterback in a two QB league or super flex league. He's going to be your second QB, your bye week fill-in.
Okay.
And Andy Dalton had some very good fantasy years.
Sure.
He didn't have that rocket arm, but he could throw the deep ball. He was more mobile than people gave him credit for, and he was smart.
I mean, let's just go look at all the turnovers Andy Dalton had. I don't know if he was really smart, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Andy Dalton outlasted his tenure. We should have taken somebody else, but whatever.
I don't think he outlasted his tenure. He should have been. He was very good for us. I like Dalton. I know you hated him, but
closest we got to winning a playoff game was our backup quarterback, AJ McCarron.
I'm not gonna get in this argument again.
That's not what we're here for.
Hasn't even started anywhere else. But anyways, so Kenny Pickett, my number one. I believe he's your number one as well, as you said.
Yes, definitely, easily.
So our next quarterback, something I know you talked about early on in this process, Bailey Zappi of Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers.
I have Malik Willis.
He's at the end.
I went down your list, so okay, yeah, whatever. Bailey Zappi, yeah, I like this kid. We can go to him. I'll talk about Bailey Zappi, dude. This kid, everybody's questioning his arm strength, but from what I'm seeing, this guy can get the ball down the field and it's accurate. Oh, what? I don't know.
Yeah, he is accurate. He makes good decisions. Arm strength isn't just about how deep you can throw it. It's also, do you have that zip behind it? And a lot of his passes, they just kind of seem to float out there.
The games I'm watching, I can see where that's coming from, but a lot of the out routes, he still gets the ball there, and he gets it there on time. He wasn't getting picked off on out routes, and the out route, the 10-yard out, the 15-yard comebacks on the sidelines, those are the balls you're looking at, and those are the balls you want to see get to where they need to be and not get picked off or batted away. And those were I'm going to say, more than half the time they're completions, and they weren't turnovers. So yeah. I'm still trying to see that. I have one more game film pulled up on him that I just want to watch. It's the last game film I have on him just to see, but I like this kid.
Oh, yeah, I agree. He kind of reminds me of what no, I'm drawing a blank on him. We were just talking about him in Houston.
Houston?
Yeah, the Houston QB.
Davis Mills?
Yes, Davis Mills. How he's going to be a late round draft pick, but he might be able to step in. But Bailey Zappi, he's more of a pocket passer, but he does have some mobility.
Yeah, I saw him tuck it and run just a little bit. And the thing with Zappi here that you need to realize is he doesn't make it past his first or second read very often. It's going to this number one read or the second read. Not a lot of dump offs, more throwaways than not. Maybe that was their offense. Maybe that was how Western Kentucky did it. But the kid threw for like 4,000 yards last year.
Yeah, and he I noticed he moves well in the pocket. Like he has good step ups. Just he knows when to move, how to move in the pocket.
He makes good decisions.
My comp on that, it kind of reminded me of the way Big Ben used to move around in the pocket.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Think you go to Pitt?
I don't think he's gonna go to Pitt, but
I have over here. He makes really good decisions, and he's a smart, fast decision maker. When he does turn the ball over, though, it is one of those rare bad decisions that he makes. Is when he throws an interception, and typically that's when he has a lot of pressure in his face. But
I like the kid. I like Bailey Zappi, but in the end, I have my notes as I think he's a career backup that could get the shot to start.
yeah,
Kind of similar to what people were probably saying about Davis Mills.
yeah, and I think Zappi's gonna be one of those guys that you take third round if you draft him at all.
I agree with that. I actually have him. I know you have him ranked higher than I do.
I have him at-
Zappi at 6.
I have Zappi at 3, just because I do my rankings. I'm not going off of what Mel Kiper Jr. and all those
I'm
guys
not
are
looking
saying.
at that either.
They're looking at NFL. I'm looking at fantasy points.
Yes, I
And
agree.
I think just the volume that he had to throw at Western Kentucky. He had 2 really, really good wide receivers. One of them was Jarrett Stearns Jr., who is in this draft class, but there's no film on him. And nobody's talking about Jarrett Stearns. And I'm sitting here going, why not? I know he's playing in the Sun Belt? Western
think so.
Kentucky plays in the Sun Belt. Maybe that's why, but Jarrett Stearns is a pretty good wide receiver to keep an eye on too. But I like Bailey Zappi. He's my number 3. Am I drafting him? Not until the 3rd round. If I have a pick left and there's no quarterback or no running backs or wide receivers left that I really want.
All right. So we'll move on to our next quarterback, and that's Desmond Ritter out of the University of Cincinnati.
How did I get these so far out of order?
And Desmond Ritter, he's someone that's kind of interesting.
I would disagree.
Well, and the reason I'd say he's interesting, you mentioned one of your favorite things that you like to mention about AJ McCarron versus Andy Dalton debate is McCarron's a winner.
Yeah.
That's one of the arguments for Ritter. He's a winner.
Yeah, he did win.
He's one of 3 quarterbacks to win 44 games as a starter in college. You want to guess the other 2?
Cam Newton?
Nope.
How far are we going back here? In the history?
Well, yeah.
Brian Greasy from Purdue. Bob Greasy.
Kellen
from Purdue.
Moore
Kellen who?
and Colt McCoy.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are the only other 2 quarterbacks to win 44 games. So, and that covers one of your arguments on this. And Ritter, his draft stock has seen the rise more as he's met with the teams.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
He's a great leader, and there's been multiple GMs have said he's the kind of guy that you'd want to date your daughter.
Okay, but that doesn't help my fantasy football team.
Well, that's just one of the things showing he's going to be drafted higher, more likely.
Okay.
And draft capital, especially with QBs, means you're likely to get that shot.
But here's my notes on Ritter. Let's get back down to brass tacks here. Not a whole lot of games on Ritter. I think there's 6 maybe. 6 or 7
I
maybe.
can't remember.
I was not impressed against Alabama. He didn't really do anything that was like, oh man, this guy has the potential to do something. He makes really
his
easy...
offensive line was overmatched in that game.
And I agree. Not a lot of people did very well against Georgia or Alabama or even LSU this year. He makes it. Here's the good thing. He makes the easy plays. He makes the easy throws. He's not trying to fit it into double coverage. He's not trying to throw up top over in the triple coverage.
And actually, I have a note on that one. His accuracy is inconsistent at times, which I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, but he makes good reads, and he can get through the read progression. He has a strong arm. He's got good velocity.
His accuracy, it kind of comes and goes. He's pinpoint accurate for half a game, and then the other half of the game that he's inaccurate.
Yeah, he's a mobile decent runner.
This is something that's been due to his mechanics, and that's something he's been going and really working on lately.
And that's great, man. I could be completely wrong about Desmond Ritter. I have him as my 6th best QB in this draft class.
Yeah, and
I just didn't see anything that was overly impressive that said this guy's gonna be I'm gonna say a super flex starter.
And he's a dual threat quarterback as
I'm
well,
not
so
even
that's
sure
going to
if
give
he's
him a bump up.
Yeah, I said mobile, decent runner, but I only have 6 points on this, and 2 of them are not impressive. I'm just not impressed at all by Ritter.
This class, it's difficult, more
It
difficult
really
than
is.
others.
Man, these QBs
And
are hard to watch, man.
Quarterbacks are hard to judge as it is.
Yeah.
And with Ritter, he's been mocked anywhere from like the 1st to the 5th quarterback off the board in real life and in fantasy.
Well, then I'm not too far off with having him at 6.
So,
I mean,
like I said, it's kind of hard to judge this.
this draft class was you have your number 1 guy at Kenny Pickett, and then who else?
Well, that's our number 1 guy. A lot of people have Malik Willis at number 1.
I don't understand that at all. Is he our next
And we'll
guy
talk
then?
about that one now.
Oof, gosh.
But I have Desmond Ritter at 3. I like the potential upside, and if he gets his mechanics to where he's accurate, he has a good arm, and I think he could be successful. He was one of those guys that before Sean Payton left, there was talk that he could have been going to New Orleans, and I think that would have been a really good fit.
Possibly.
But we'll see how that kind of goes from here. Our next quarterback, Carson Strong out in Nevada.
I have him at 5.
I have him at 7.
He's going to be sit in the pocket, throw the ball downfield all game long.
The way he plays reminds me of Peyton Manning's play style. Not saying he reminds me of Peyton Manning, but it's Peyton Manning's play style.
Sit in the pocket, throw the ball short, over the middle, outside, throw it deep every once in a while. Yeah, I mean,
one of my notes on him, he's not very fast. He makes Tom Brady look fast.
Yeah,
Tom Brady.
I said not very mobile. Decent pocket presence. His accuracy is hit or miss.
With him, I know going back to the mobility and speed thing, I know he rushed back from a knee injury.
Yeah,
they've had that looked at, and they said he's good to go. And hopefully that helps his mobility a little bit, but it's not going to be leaps and bounds where he's going to get you points with his feet.
I mean, he played at Nevada, and that's the Pac-12, I believe it is now, right? The Pac-12, or they still call themselves the Pac-10? I can't remember. Doesn't matter. You're not playing the Pac-12, Pac-10, whatever you want to call it. All offense. Defenses there are pretty much non-existent, and he was getting chased down by people there. Even if he's a little bit more mobile at the NFL level, everybody's that much faster. I think it's going to be the same sort of obstacles that he's going to be facing, if that makes sense.
Yep. And, I mean, the good notes on him is I think he has a very good arm.
His arm is probably the strongest
And
in this
he
draft
might
class.
be the best passer in this class.
I could see that, but his accuracy to me is what would lead me to say no.
I thought he was pretty accurate, and he was not afraid to throw in the tight windows, which he was basically leading his receivers open in those cases.
Yeah, I mean, he's got really great. He's got a really, really strong arm, and he's got the touch there. But sometimes, I mean, I watched like 6 or 7. I was trying so hard to get a good read on these guys. I broke my rule of 4 games. I'm not gonna watch more than 4 games. You should be able to see as much as you need. But I watched as many games as much was available, and he just seems to, like you said with Ritter, he has it or he doesn't. And
my last note on Carson Strong is he can throw well, and for those of you guys just listening and not watching, in parentheses, he can throw well on the run.
We'll say on the move. How about that? Yeah, I mean, I think he can be developed, that's for sure. But how long are you willing to wait? And I'm not going to waste a draft pick on him in the second round.
In fantasy, if you have no mobility, I'm not wasting a draft pick on you because
the pocket passer quarterback is dead.
It's not dead.
Yeah,
but
it's going away.
Yeah, it's not as strong as it used to be.
Right now, you have to be dual threat or have
or Tom Brady.
Or well, he's almost gone. So. He was gone, and then he came back.
All right, our next quarterback, Matt Corral out of Ole Miss.
Fun to watch.
He was fun to watch, and he's another guy. He's a really good leader. He was one of those guys that went out there and didn't sit out his bowl game.
And then he got hurt.
He got hurt, but that doesn't really seem to be an impacting thing for him. But Matt Corral, he has a strong arm. He has very good mobility.
Mm-hmm.
And he does a good job of leading his receivers.
And one thing we want with these mobile runner guys is their quick releases when they throw the ball.
Yeah,
Quick
yes.
release. This guy can get the ball out
He
fast.
has a quick release, but when I was watching, and I don't know, his release just looked weird to me.
Because it's faster than everybody else's. He doesn't have much of a wind up, and and
Mhm.
he's here and it's out, man. It's fast and it's accurate. I like this kid a lot.
One of the notes with
I
him
have
though,
Corral at number 2.
and that's very plausible. I have him at 4, I think it was, and he could move up in my ranks. But what worries me with him is he does try to make that risky play and
Mhm.
force the ball where he shouldn't,
And that can be coached.
and that can be coached. And he did improve that on that last year.
One of the things I have is he does have that ability to drop the arm angle and do all kinds of stuff like the Mahomes and the Aaron Rodgers.
That
Reprogression wasn't the greatest, but Ole Miss ran an offensive play every 17 seconds.
That-
That was the fastest that's ever happened in college football history, even faster than all of those crazy Oregon teams. It was RPO, first read, second read, tuck and run. And that was just the offense that they ran.
my other note with him, and this is what worries me the most, is he does not avoid contact when he's running the ball.
No,
And-
he runs like a running back.
He is smaller, so that scares me. But the good news is he does show some elusiveness when he's running.
Yeah, he's a great athlete that can just happen to play. He's a great athlete that plays quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think he is a good quarterback. I have him as my second best quarterback in this class. I like him.
He needs to settle down on the riskiness, and he needs to learn to get out of bounds or slide.
I agree with that. But the potential there for
Mhm.
for fantasy football, especially in the Superflex QB2, depending on where he goes.
Yep.
Depending on where he goes, I might reach mid-second for him. But I'm not going any higher than that.
Okay.
Not on any of these quarterbacks. I think right now, if you're in a super flex league, this might not be a great year to grab a quarterback.
This is
and I
my
feel
argument.
bad.
Is like I said, this is going to be where if you're in the late first, like if you're a championship team and you need a quarterback, like I lost Drew Brees a couple years or last year because of his retirement.
Mhm.
And I've been in the playoffs for 3 years. I have a hard time getting quarterbacks. This is where I can try to grab one
Yeah,
and sit on it.
definitely.
So this is why I had no issues taking one in the first.
And you and I talked about it. And 2 years ago, we started up our super flex league. I won it, and then Deshaun Watson did his stuff, and I ended up trading away Deshaun Watson, and then
Hey,
Kamara
you
got
want to tell us
hurt.
what you traded to get Deshaun Watson?
Josh Allen in a first for the following year. I traded Josh Allen in a first round pick for the next year for Deshaun Watson. Wow. But then I got a lot in return for it, and I used those picks and stuff. But, I mean, I lost Alvin Kamara for some of the year. I lost Derrick Henry for pretty much an entire half of the season. Lost Kyler Murray for a long time. If I can get Kenny Pickett or Matt Corral at 1.7, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good pick. I have Davis Mills that's probably going to play a little bit. That's my team. I'm sorry. But,
Well, we'll go ahead and move on from
yeah,
here.
my bad. I think Corral, depending on your QB need, he's probably the second best QB out there. You said third,
Fourth.
fourth. Okay, that's
And then
fine.
we'll move on to my fifth best QB. I think he's your last. Sam Howell out in North Carolina.
Yeah, dude, this guy's not.
His stats, they got worse in 21, but he lost a lot of weapons. He lost
Michael Carter.
Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, and
Tutu Atwell.
it wasn't
No.
Tutu Atwell. I think of it. I can't. He lost one of his best receivers.
I can't. I know who you're talking about, but I just can't picture it either.
He was drafted last year, but he hadn't played much. I can't think of the name now.
Me neither.
But my notes on Sam Howell, he's an accurate passer with good mobility.
Mm-hmm.
He does hold on to the ball too long, and he throws well on the run.
Yeah, but I say he throws in the coverage a lot, and he's just trying to rely on his athleticism a little too much, and he just throws it into coverage.
He was interesting to me, and he's someone I've seen mocked to Detroit late in the first round. But do you know who he kind of reminded me of when I was watching him play?
No, I don't, because you haven't told me.
Baker Mayfield.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
fantasy-wise, is not a bad player to have as your QB2.
Not as a QB2 for sure.
And his play style seemed very, very similar.
They kind of look alike too.
Yeah. And I'm willing to take the shot on Hal on this. Now, like I said, he's my 5th best, and I think he'll be like a 2nd round pick for me if I take him, maybe a 3rd.
Yeah, I said 7th. He's my last QB available. I'm not a big fan of him. I mean, he won with great weapons around him, and sometimes you need that quarterback that can win without the great weapons. I mean, what was your quote? Is it doesn't matter how good your team is, unless you have an elite quarterback, you're not going to make a Super Bowl. You're not going to make it to the Super Bowl, right?
No.
Was that a quote that we had? It doesn't matter how good your team is, and if you don't have an elite quarterback, you're not going to make it.
That's incorrect, though. Joe Flacco won the Super Bowl.
Oh, Joe Flacco.
He wasn't elite.
He was elite. Joe Flacco said he's elite, and he's in a rap song.
Jimmy Garoppolo is not elite.
Yeah, we know that.
And I'm not saying these guys aren't good, or weren't good.
Well, yeah.
Any team that built the right way can make it to the Super Bowl.
Right.
They can win it.
Right,
too.
right.
Flacco showed that.
Yeah, I'm just not.
I'm willing to take the chance on Hal. I think he's got a little bit higher upside, and I think he was like a top 3 at the beginning of this year for draft prospects.
I'm not.
I think it's just his lack of weapons this year.
I mean,
really
I said,
hurt him.
here's my notes. He has great vision as a passer and as a runner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he sees the field very well. He does have a strong arm, and he has a quick release. He's got good pocket presence, good reprogression. The height, I don't know if it's his height. I don't know if it's the throws into coverage a lot. But from the game film I saw, I watched a lot from the 2020 season and from the 2021 season. I just wasn't. I mean, all of these guys that we're talking about have good arms.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in this discussion because they have some of the same tangibles as the other guys, but he doesn't have the intangibles that I need to see to take him in the 2nd round to be comfortable playing him in my QB2 slot superflex spot.
And like I said, most of these quarterbacks you're drafting, there's a good chance you're waiting a year before they even see the field
Taxi
consistently.
squad.
And so we'll move on to our last quarterback, and this is one that a lot of people have had as their top quarterback, Malik Willis out of Liberty.
And I would disagree with that 100%.
He is definitely very raw. He's a raw talent. He doesn't know what he doesn't know yet.
I said he's more of an athlete than a QB. And maybe that's why people are going to be able to take a chance or are willing to take a chance on him because he is an athlete.
And that's why the NFL is willing to take a chance on him.
Can you groom him into being a QB?
One of the notes I had on him was his line at Liberty was awful.
Well, it's Liberty.
They were awful. And so he did not have a chance to go through progressions, and he often had to rely on his athleticism and mobility to make plays.
Said 1 to 2 reads, no read progression. Heavily relies on his feet.
Real quick.
Passing footwork needs improvement. Scrambles to run, not to pass. Lacks true pocket passer ability. Not NFL ready. However, great size, great speed. The dude's an athlete. Again,
Speaking of that,
strong arm, decent accuracy, but he's either throwing the ball under 10 yards or over 30 yards. There is none of that middle. Go for it.
So speaking on his mobility, according to Pro Football Focus, Malik Willis forced 90 missed tackles in 2021. There was one player who forced more missed tackles.
Brian Robinson.
Nope. Kenneth Walker with 91.
Wow.
One more forced missed tackle. So that just shows you this kid alone has very, very athletic talent.
Right.
He has a strong arm.
We're agreeing with that.
He is a bit inaccurate. And what worries me with him is he was always looking for that big play.
Yeah, like I said, man, he's either dumping the ball off underneath 10 yards or less, or the ball's 30 yards downfield. Mm-hmm. There was no middle game, and that is where your money's won in the NFL. Right?
So these last 2 notes I have on him is he has the intangibles to give him high upside.
Yes.
And that's why NFL teams are interested in taking that high chance on him.
Where do you have him?
That's why I have him at number 2.
I have him at number 4.
That's why he's been mocked as the number 1 quarterback many times, both fantasy and NFL.
I would be hesitant, very, very hesitant.
But the thing is, his weaknesses, they are ones that can be fixed easily with coaching.
That's fair. Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of people are willing to take that shot. When I was watching his film, he kind of reminded me of Michael Vick.
Long nose hair. Yeah.
And
The size,
the
the
size, and he wore
athleticism.
number 7.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything really. I just don't think he's NFL ready just yet.
No.
At the QB level,
He's not. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he has some of the biggest talent. And
if you draft him in fantasy football, I don't think you're going to get a rate of return on your investment this year. Maybe.
yeah, you're not going
later.
to see it this year. But if you're a rebuilding team, what's the
Sure.
why does it hurt to draft him if you need a potential another QB? Draft him and sit on him for a year.
Mm-hmm. That's a fair point.
Or draft him, and if he's a starter, play him, and he doesn't do well, you lose more games and you get that better pick.
Okay, that's how you. If you're tanking for on purpose,
I'm not even necessarily say tanking on purpose, but it's just one of those methods that when it happens, sometimes it works. And next year's draft class, at least CJ Stroud and Bryce Young are two very promising prospects.
that's true. I like those guys.
I do too, which I'm jumping ahead, but drafting Malik Willis, and then you possibly get one of those other guys, you might have two very good QBs in there next
For
year.
a very, very long time.
Yep. So that's why I'm willing to take the risk on some of these QBs, especially Malik Willis.
Okay.
I think the earliest I'd go
Okay.
on or draft him is like 1-4 or 1-5.
I would say second round. I think there's a lot of, depending on how QB needy you are in a super flex league, I think there's a lot of great, great talent out there
There is some good talent, yes. But-
at running back and wide receiver.
I think Malik Willis potentially has that talent that could make him a very high upside player, and that's something I don't necessarily want to miss on.
Okay, that's fair. I have second round in a 12-team league.
Well, that's our QBs for this episode.
That's true. That is all the QBs that we have. Sorry.
We will start. We'll actually take a quick break
Mm-hmm.
and
Be
later-
back with tight end.
Yep, we'll come back and we'll talk about. I think it was 8 tight ends.
We had 10, and then we realized Derek Deese Jr. didn't have any film, and
Kate Otten.
Cade Otton from Washington doesn't have any film. But I still looked up some notes on him, so
I didn't, but
I'll just really quickly I can just say, hey,
Yep,
this is
that's
what
fine.
they say.
yeah,
The
we'll,
experts.
when that we'll come back with our tight end episode, which I will be really. Excuse me. We're recording on Sunday. Quarterbacks will be released on YouTube today.
Yep.
Tight ends will be released on Monday, and then I'm gonna release our mock draft on Wednesday.
Okay. Okay.
But thank you again for tuning in, and we will be back.
I don't think we had anybody tuning in, but that's okay. We still love our fans.